Water is a blessing, isn't it? It's really lovely to be right next to this beautiful river, Nipi, which is water, which is the life force, which is, for women, we are the guardians of the water. So I just have to honor that because I've been in airplanes and airports and car rides and a lot of inside, so it's really nice to stay refreshed. And thank you so much to Paul for coming and holding up that sign at the airport, picking me up all the way from Montreal. Where actually I'm organizing the spoken word festival that these fabulous slam poets are coming to. So I'm of like two spirits, two hearts tonight. It's nice to be performing my own work, but it's also, you know, that funny divide of being an organizer and facilitating space for others, and then also saying, oh, wait, right, me. Okay, what do I want to say and what wants to come through me? So it's an honor to be here tonight. Nananaskumun niwakomaganak. Ogawe mau, odawe mau. Tipis kaupisum, kesi kaupisum. Nia oma mo. I just released a book in May. It's a little book. You could almost call it maybe a bit of a squirt. And it's in English and French. And so this festival that's starting next week, it's the 10th edition in the first year that we're doing a bilingual festival. And as with everything, there's controversy surrounding it. And so the other day, classic, Facebook, we get a post. Canadian Festival of Spoken Word. I can't believe you're doing French and English. Who do you think you are? What about all the indigenous languages? Are you forcing people to translate a poem into Cree, into Naskapi, into Maliseet? So after withdrawing from Facebook for about an hour, holding my heart for a little bit longer, I responded and I said, we have to start somewhere. This is the first year the festival's even been considered from a bilingual lens. That's a lot of work. And beyond our two colonial tongues, we're also honoring indigenous languages throughout the festival. So every night of the festival, we have a different indigenous performer coming to share. And on our final day, we have 8 people speaking about indigenous languages, activism, preservation, poetic, and how these are roots, how these help us trace those lines, as Chris said, the fingers that dig into the soil of those trees. And so part of my journey has also been starting to learn more Nehiawewin, which is the Cree language, and there's 8 different dialects of Cree. And the same way probably in Brazil, you get a lot of different dialects of Portuguese. And so it's the Saskatchewan Plains Cree. And so I just wanted to start with a piece that's not actually in Cree, but it is a piece in honor of, okay, there's that one. Here we go. Ancient lines mark the horizon of our forests. Ancient lives speak the story of our ancestors. Here we find nesting grounds to listen, to open, to understand who we are. Could I ever predict what the flute wants to sing? As song from its hollow body returns home to a captive audience of swaying trees. What audible cry does it long for me to hear? Of hands that first touched it in its primitive yet ancient form? Or of chainsaws splitting its median, piercing rings into fractured boards? Would I ever have thought that on this earth, cedar flute aches to know for itself the unfinished story a root tells broken soil? To hear autumn leaves sing praises for wind as they shed green for fire red. To watch as migratory bird returns home to coastal shore, only to find silence where once this flute stood old growth. How many ancestors carry other secrets to the mouths of their players? Would I ever have thought, on this earth, a flute aches to speak to its real mother every day? And what does one do if it's all true? But breathe life into carved openings, wait for resonance to give a clue, or simply fade away. Here's the flute in question. It's made of cedar, and it's a turtle flute. And it was gifted to me by a friend, but it's actually made in the traditional Navajo style. So, the looping pedal. Bring it on. Bring it on. Nananaskuman. Let's give it a try. Nananaskuman. That's a lot of syllables, hey? Nananaskuman. Nananaskuman. Thank you. Nananaskuman. And you can also say kinanaskumitin, kinanaskumitin. And ki, when we say ki, we mean everybody, every living thing. And it's beautiful because the Nehiyawe, when the Cree language is totally inclusive. So it includes not just us humans, but it includes all our relations, niwako makanak, which means the creepy crawlers, which means the scarf I have draped around my neck, which means the water that I'm drinking in my water bottle. Ki means everything. So it's gratitude for all. So I want to perform a piece that's going on my next album. And it's a piece that, you know, sometimes you think, does this piece get old? And I don't think so. And I hope you don't think so either. In a lot of the work that I'm doing, I identify as Métis. And I did not grow up on a reserve. And I didn't grow up in a quote-unquote traditional Indigenous lifestyle or background. I grew up in suburban Calgary in Alberta. But I did grow up every summer going into the hills and learning how to sing, learning how to read the stars in the Cypress Hills in the sacred land of the southern Alberta with my grandparents and with my family. And it wasn't until I was 16 that I actually found out about my Indigenous ancestry. And so that is when I kind of began the research into those ancestral lineages, into those lines. And in doing so, you discover so much more and what the contemporary situation is in so many places. And so this next piece is for all the strong women as well. I know what it means to burn tobacco, but do I know what it means to twist it? Rewind bloodlines of soil, wind, and prayer, wrapping spirit up in form to create an arm of refuge for this story to grow. We gather in autumn's amber breeze, a waxing moon through the window of trees. We occupy mountains, flat as pavement, painted with lines. Together we mend a wet wrap of solidarity. We gather, braid our spirits with sacred spit for our missing sisters and stolen lands. We celebrate the strength of their wombs that suffer the stains of colonial demands. Their bodies erode from tattooed roots, savage, dirty, squaw. Product placements they are, products of being placed on reserves and in residential schools. Our nations lose oil reserves, then make more Indian ones. Dam the land with hydroelectric walls that stutter the land of tomorrow. But we gather, trade borders of fear for altars of hope. It is here she steps into our embrace, exchanges abandon for belonging. She is fossilized story, thrown to water, skipping, then sinking deep. She is spirit screaming, her cries bloom between words of prayer. She is ghost, scent of whiskey, sour milk, tundra. Shame her skin as she goes in. What deeds have stolen the land of her body? Time and time and the systemic occupation of her hands and feet, tongue and teeth, making alien marrow from bone. I know what it means to burn tobacco, but do we know what it means to twist it? I find breath, shed a mountain of myself, face forward, honor this land, no drum, no megaphone, only hearts alone, beating, listen, do you hear it? I step up to the song of her cry, whisper of white wind, revolution of red wing, our collective ancestry. Listen, do you hear it? I step up to the song of her cry, ancient child wailing, fierce phoenix quaking in heart's soft mold. Listen, do you hear it? I sing out strong woman song, a cry created from behind prison walls to honor the strength of Aboriginal women. Like moon, she rotates. Her silver cry begins to sing along, face to face in song. She sees her light full of dignity as we align to strengthen community, intertwine invisible legacies like a braid of spirit. Listen, do you hear it? I, tactile voice, give rise to possibility, to the promise of choice. Because I know what it means to burn tobacco. But do you know what it means to twist it? Shall we go to Spain? Why not? We were already in Brazil earlier. And it's funny because actually, as you were talking about Brazil and trash and then garbage again and, children in the beginning, I was actually thinking about this really, for a moment, I was thinking about this beautiful movie about this artist, Victor, and I can't remember his last name, who goes to Brazil. And he actually works in the Rio de Janeiro landfill with people that work in the landfill, and he creates portraits of them. And then he has them actually assemble the pieces. He projects the photos that he takes of them on these large pieces of I guess just on the floor, and then with the recycled pop lids and the cans and pieces of rubber, they create the faces in these like large portraits. And I can't remember for the life of me the name of it, but finding ways to take garbage and to take trash and to turn it into something that's beautiful. You know, this guy also is known for doing portraits with peanut butter. So if you ever want a peanut butter portrait of yourself, you know who to go to. So this next piece was inspired by flamenco in Spain. And just by taking it all in, a lot of the work that I do is very inspired by ritual and ceremony and how we can bring these forms into a performance and into spoken word and poetry and sound making. And so when I first got to see flamenco performed live, it was this massive show, and I had no idea that I was really, well, I had an idea. I was pretty like honored to be there, but then after seeing future shows, I mean, there was 2 dancers, 4 singers, like 5 musicians, and it was all outside in plein air with a full moon over top and this labyrinth gardens in the background, and it brought me back to the Santeria and the Yoruba traditions. And it brought me back to the powwow dances and the sun dances. And it just brought me back to all of these different legacies that we're currently, you know, continuing and unfolding with every gesture. And so this piece is called Activate Fire. Facilitate this process for myself. Okay. Activate fire. Soul flame, timbre of violin stroke to string, whisper of white light to stage, grandfather steps out and sings. Mi amor, in cant, cantar, his pulse a poetic ode of pain and pleasure. Mi amor, hurricane heart, earthquake soul, humanity's fault line. Activate beat. Tambour man taps down on cajon slap. Skirts shuffle in shadows, tassels fall like grass. Gypsy spirits rise with intuition. Inhibitions drown as moon glow streams down upon our haste. From labyrinth gardens, in the court of Palais Real, we taste the trance. Estafirula, estafirula, estafirula. Estafirula, estafirula, estafirula. Estafirula, estafirula. Activate dance. One man, one boy, both alike in dress, enter scene. Sleek slate suits line the contours of their rhythmic forms as they stomp out seductive scores. Fireflies burst from heels, bulls break free from chests. Awaken myth. Silver pendulum spreads wide like eagle wings as tension mounts. Wet black hair glides like snakes, slides and flails around red face with each whip and spin, uncoiling within. Initiation. They call in spirits, they call out demons. Generations of transformation unfold in story. Young boy takes center. Dance, dance, little one. Dance, dance, ferocious like fire. Dance, dance, little one. Dance, dance, ferocious like flame. Beats cross-pollinate with cries. Each voice sings and dies. Each gesture a declaration of desire. Longing holds us closer in as we electrify ourselves in the breath of belonging. They set aglow, each flaming our heart, each hand like forest fires. They set aglow, our eyes burning lamps of revolution. Activate circle. Grandmother's voice is waterfall weeping across desert remains. Young boy's small form is black pulse shimmering on stolen plains. Mirror, mirror of age, mirror, double-sided. All things past blow from behind him, cast spells under souls. All things future press with precious fury at his proud chest. He turns pinwheel, force of masculine encountering feminine. Cast open, his arms rise like new sun. Wake to hold grandmother's aqueous incantation. Spilling forth from deep belly, a curse and cure in the same bellow. Mia. Her hands, like swallows, follows the light of his dance with her ancient cry. Dance, dance, little one. Dance, dance, ferocious like fire. Dance, dance, little one. Dance, dance, ferocious like flame. Bring forth your story, my child. Beat heavy your name. Stomp it out, call it out. Spin, full turn, and come about. Hi, hi. I don't know if I've been taking enough water breaks these days, so it's nice to be able to walk outside and to just immerse myself in like the mist that is there. That one of the elders that I had the opportunity to meet and to do some dialogue and learning and teaching and singing with, Bob Smoker, who's a Soto elder, and he says that rain is the thunderbird's tears. And so in some ceremonies that they do in the Medewin Lodge, which is the longhouse or the great house, they'll do a water ceremony, and they gather 4 different types of water. And I think most of us have a lot of experience with tap water, but how many of us have the experience of gathering and collecting rainwater, river water, the water from the trees, the maple syrup, the maple water that flows, and the water from the mountains, so spring water. And so I was trying to figure out how I could mail him maple water, because he's living in Saskatchewan, and I mean, there's a few maple trees out there, but not quite as, profound and as abundant as we have out here. So instead I said, well, maybe I can mail you some maple syrup, and you can mix it with some of the rainwater that you've been collecting, and you can have this beautiful blend. Because, we're all hybrid, right? We're all mixes. We're all Métis in some way, shape, or form. Hi, hi. Miigwech, merci, nanaskumoyen. And thank you to Words Aloud. It's really an honor to be here in every way that words can be allowed.